Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Fast Five, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, SPS Commerce, and Sezzle. All right, let's go to headline number 5. Levi's is planning to start testing AI-generated fashion models.
Woohoo!
According to the Business of Fashion, Amy Gershkoff-Ballas, Levi's global head of digital and emerging technology strategy, announced the company will begin experimenting with AI-generated models on its e-commerce channels later this year to increase the diversity of models shoppers can see wearing its products. Levi's partner on the project is LalaLand.ai, a digital studio that creates customized AI-generated models.
Sometimes I can't make this stuff up.
It should also be noted that Levi's emphasized in a statement that it is still hiring diverse models and will continue to do so, and that the purpose of the AI models is to supplement, not replace human models in order to create what it described as, quote, a more personal and inclusive shopping experience, end quote. Lakshman, is this where you would advise Levi to invest in AI amid all the recent AI hype? Is this where you'd be telling them to go?
Yeah, I mean, I love this move, love this, right? Because Vision
Really?
AI, you love it because Vision AI has taken up, has markedly improved in the last 3-4 years, right?
Right.
You see a number of people putting, claiming their wares on LinkedIn, showing how they were able to, classify a cat from a tree, right?
Yep.
All that, images that you see. That classification has now come to a generative AI, stage, right? DAL-E has just opened doors for so many possibilities here. And I went through a number of these. If you just think back, 6 months or even 12 months back, guys, you look at all these avatars that were being created, Michaela, and all these other things that were happening in the multiverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those were anime, those were gimmicks, right? They did not have a look and feel, a personalized connection, whether it was eye-to-eye contact, right? A skin color tone which is very similar to mine.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was there, right? It was artificially made up, and it had a very, robotic, sense and taste and feel to it, right?
Yeah.
But now you're looking at this; it is real. And think about all the samples that you get rid of. Think about all the fitting sessions that you need to get rid of. Think about all the marketing overhead that you spend, right? This is customizable to a group of people, and this can just overlay the customized marketing programs, personalized content, and this can take off really big, in my opinion.
Compelling points, Ann. Compelling points.
Billy, what are your thoughts?
I think it's really important in this conversation to separate two things, right? The representation aspect, which was which has been highlighted in conversations about this, and just the stone cold business part. And I'm going to focus on the stone cold business part first. It makes complete sense from a stone cold business perspective for all the reasons Lakshman was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
From the representation part and the more social aspects of it, I am very, very, very nervous about this.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple of reasons. One, representation using AI for representation, you're creating things that aren't there necessarily, and that I think is a really touchy thing where it's really not representation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stylized or an idealized representation. And so the idea of how even if they're showing various body types or various flaws, right, so that they're showing imperfections, that's also going to be based on an idealized set of things, as opposed to if you have people where you don't get to idealize some of that, right? That's why we use makeup. That's why we use touch-ups. That's why we use all of that. So I think that there's when it treads into the social aspects, or talking about representation or things like that, I am very, very, that's a very touchy thing in my mind. And I think there's a lot of room to unintentionally cause a lot of problems there for the company. But from a business perspective, I think it's fantastic. I mean, it really does all of the things, from a cost benefit perspective on the business side. I couldn't be happier about that part.
Wow.
I'm going to really disagree with you guys on this one.
Really?
I get the business point of it, but I think there's a happy medium here that would have made a lot more sense for Levi's. And that would be the diversity of the models. I get that they're trying to do that, but Billy, I think you bring up some really important points, right? And let's talk about the consumer here, because that's what we're getting lost in.
Yeah.
The reason you're having models of different shapes and sizes of different ethnicities, like, is because you want to show me how that product is going to look on my body. And nothing that you're doing with an AI generated model is helping me get a better sense of what that product is actually going to look like on my body. So if I was Levi's, I would be investing in leveraging actual human data collected, whether that's through 3D modeling, like I had Christian from Savage by Fenty on one of my panels at Shop Talk talking about how they're doing 3D body scans in the fitting room,
Right.
and then using those digital twins to improve their product, to give their customers shopping online a better sense of how that product is actually going to fit on my body. So if I was Levi's, I would never have come out with this. I would have said, we're going to focus our efforts and our business case on how do we make the product fit my customers better? How do we use technology in for that reason, instead of this total BS? I think
Hands on
awful.
tilt. You're on
I think
tilt.
it's awful.
You're on tilt.
I'm really upset about it.
All
There's
right.
there's so many better decisions they could have made, and they like put their foot in their mouths coming out with this, and for the reasons that they said they did.
Yeah. Wow. Here's what I'll say to you. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Lakshman almost flipped me in the middle of this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I thought he presented some pretty compelling.
The business
case,
arguments are there.
The sampling thing,
yeah.
the sustainability, all that, like the cost that it requires to send those samples to everybody, to put them on the fit models as you're doing all this stuff. Like, it's pretty intense and expensive. But he almost flipped me, but Billy flipped me back, because his points are really good. And the other point I would make too is, and I think this tells you something, this topic, Chip Berg, CEO of Levi's, was on stage at Shop Talk.
Yes.
And this topic was notably absent from that discussion.
Yes, could not be asked.
Which meant it was off limits, because it should have been asked by the CNBC reporter. I can't remember who it was, but it should have been asked. And so when you get down to, yes, AI is cool. Yes, it's happening. But you think back, somebody said to me, or Michael Koziak from Best Buy said, 2 months ago, we were at NRF. No one was talking about AI. No one. Now ChatGPT happens. Everyone's talking about it. It's probably still a little bit overhyped, even though it's probably real. And so it wouldn't be the first place I'd invest. There's so many other places I would do before I'd open the social Pandora's box, like Billy talked about, in this direction. So I 100% agree with you. Billy, last word.
There's one other thing I think that was in the article that we were, read ahead of time, which it was talking about, I can't, it's hard for us to find there's no way we can find all of the people, all of the physical models to do all of this, which I didn't buy that.
I hired talent. I hired talent for a giant major retailer. It's not an issue.
I thought that was a really flimsy justification.
Yeah, Lakshman, go ahead.
Question.
Yeah.
What about those people who are browsing from Area 51? What would they be shown? That is the question that I had.